stop and say, got it. A couple places where I'll stop and ask if anyone has comments or questions, but to keep the flow going. So with that, I'm going to open my PowerPoint, which is under more and share screen. There we go. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so once I share screen, that means that I cannot see the chat, and nor can I see if people raise their hands or need to speak or something like that. So as I said, Sue's going to be monitoring that if there's something that needs to happen in the interim. So let's kick this off with an introduction of who I am, because even though I know some people, I don't know everybody on this call. I am Chris Phillips. I've been with Sweet Adeline since 1998. I am currently the events manager for Jet Cities Chorus, who I've been with since 1998. Also sang with Pride of Portland for a couple of years. That was a lot of fun. Probably like most of the people on this call, I've been in many other positions on both the management team and various chairs, etc., because we all do almost all, right? In my real life, I'm an architect and a planner, although the planner is not events planner, it's more master planning and land use entitlement. So even though it's not planning events, it has that sort of a planning mindset, which I am very much a planner, I can tell you. And then also this session was put together by me, Chris Connerty, and Linda Clifton. So we worked together over the spring and put this all together, and I give a lot of kudos to them for helping put it together. And I drew the lucky straw to present it. So here we are. So as I said, this is an introductory course to events coordinator or events manager or whatever your particular chapter or chorus calls that leadership position. So we're going to go over the basics, very basics. What is an events coordinator? What are those responsibilities, the basic responsibilities, and also categories of events and some examples that would be in each of those event categories, and then some resources, which I say to keep you sane. And those will reference both the handouts that we sent out earlier, and then some other resources, some links of where you can go for more information. So clarifying your role as event specialist or events coordinator. And as I said, back to the basics, just what does this mean? So our group actually pulled up the dictionary definition and said, hey, what is an event? The definition of event is a planned private or public occasion with a specific goal. And I've underlined that with a specific goal because the goal or goals of an event should underscore every part of the event planning. And at the end of the event, you should be able to revisit those goals and decide if they were achieved and how they were achieved, and then document that for future similar events. And then what does it mean to coordinate? The definition of coordinate is to bring the different elements of a complex activity or organization into a relationship that will ensure efficiency or harmony. And that's the dictionary definition. I love that it has harmony in it. But coordinator in my mind is better than the word planner or even manager because it emphasizes that one person does not do all the work. And that's something that's going to run through probably all of these upper level leadership positions, is that one person can't do it all. And so how do you delegate, and how do you coordinate and learn to do that? So one of the things we came to a very quick conclusion on when we were writing up this session is that each chorus has their own specific roles that they have allocated to the events manager. For example, Linda's course includes all the fundraising events under the events coordinator. In Jet Cities, those fall under the finance manager. So it's really critical as a first step to find out what falls under your title and to understand your unique responsibilities. Now, I know at Jet Cities and probably most of your choruses, we actually have a description of what are the roles and the goals, the roles and tasks for each of the various members of the management team. So having that as a starting point is critical to defining what it is you are responsible for. So that being said, this session is going to hit on all the possibilities of those. And so you take what you need from this session and then feel free to leave the rest or realize that those responsibilities are taken by someone else in your organization. But also all events have an intrinsic purpose and a desired positive outcome. And again, that goes back to the goals and why you're doing the event in the first place. So as you put together the plan for your event, having those goals again, or that purpose as the baseline for what you're trying to achieve is pretty important. So right now, we're going to take a moment, and I want everyone just to drop in the chat the types of events that you are responsible for in your chapter or chorus. And Sue, if you would just want to read them as they pop up, that would be great.
Sure.
Nobody has any?
Retreat planning. Performance for fundraising, annual show. Chorus involvement as related to regional convention competition. A couple of people said competition. One of them's not yet the coordinator, so she's not. Small performances, convention details. Oh, Ice Fog Frenzy. We feed 170 people and have a live and silent auction.
Wow.
That's a busy one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's up in Alaska.
Well, those are all excellent examples, and that, yes, they definitely fall under an events manager. So overarching responsibilities, that doesn't matter what type of event you're doing. These are things that the events manager needs to be doing all the time. One is managing the chapter calendar. And so whether you have a calendar that's on Groupizer, if your group uses that, having all of the future events in the calendar so that the members know that when they happen, and also so that the members, again, if you have Groupizer, can go in and say, yes, I will attend, or yeah, I'm away that weekend, I can't do that. Knowing who's available is really key to those events happening well. Overseeing future events planning, knowing that down the road, Jet Cities is going to do their annual Sweetie Pie Social again, and that's in February. And yes, that's 5 months down the road, but knowing that we have to plan for that future event and any of the others. Then delegating to your events team. This is a critical one. I mentioned delegating before, and having a team that will help take some of the responsibility, and then reporting to your chapter leadership. And as most of us have a monthly management team or board of directors meeting, you would report back to the chapter leadership. So if you're a new events manager, I heard someone in the crowd was, please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. It is not my job to run every event and take on every chore. I can't hear you. So actually, you could pretty much say that about any of the leadership roles. Delegate, delegate, delegate. That's not necessarily a simple or easy thing to do, especially as we're dealing with COVID and a lot of our membership numbers are down. But in an ideal chorus world, you would have a team to work on any event. There is a lot of variation as to what the events manager is responsible for, depending on your chapter. So you individually could take on the chairperson role for one or two events and then delegate that role to others, or delegate them all if your chapter is large enough, and then you oversee them and make sure everybody has the resources they need to do the job and keep checking in. So let's get into event types. When we were reviewing all of the possible and the ones that you put in the chat, we pretty much came up with 4 different categories that we felt that that events would fit under. They are: number 1, performances; number 2, educational events; number 3, fundraising events; and number 4, social and special chapter events. So we're going to look into each of these event types in more detail and start with performances. So performance types range from your large shows that you put on perhaps every few years, where you've got a guest quartet that's being flown in and you're selling tickets and you're renting a venue that seats 2,000 people or whatever, down to community performances, and then to local sing-outs at your local farmers markets or senior facilities, send-offs for family and friends, holiday performances. There's all sorts of ranges of what a performance type is. But with each of these, there are a certain number of tasks that you have to do. You need to be soliciting performances or following up on the leads or performance requests that come in, negotiating payment if there is a payment that will be happening, or again, if you're having tickets, how is that going to work? Work with your clients. Say you're performing for a certain event that's not a show that you're doing. So you work with them regarding the detail on the facility logistics. Work with your director on the song choices and order. There would likely be an MC. How are they going to do that work? How's that going to tie in? There's a costume chair, there's the marketing chair, because you have to get the word out. Is there a theme for it? Who's designing that information? And then you have to gather all of this information and all the details required for the performance event. Jet Cities, we send out what we call a performance preview, or what others may call a what the chapter needs to know. And we send that out with all of this information prior to the scheduled performance, which gives the member all of the information in one place, with what they need to wear, what their makeup should be like, when they need to arrive, what the song list is. So they have one place that they can go, they can print it out and have that performance preview to keep them on track and keep them knowing what to do for the event. And then you're going to also be maintaining your current database of events, right? With the business name and the address and the contact person, so that 2 years, 1 year, whenever down the road, you can contact them again and perhaps do a follow-up performance. So many of these tasks you would do for any type of event, but they are always something that you would do when you're doing an actual performance. So the next type, if I can move my slide, is educational events. Promotion of regional and SAI schools educational events, like what we're doing today. this would be part of the events manager's responsibility, is to get the word out about these types of events that are educational in nature. But that also includes coaching sessions and retreats and regional and international conventions. And I added the little clip from our upcoming next summer enrichment time, and the fact that Dale will be, the amazing Dale will be there heading that up for us. And that'll be wonderful to go to, and encouraging your members to attend these. So your job in this respect is to elevate the members of your chapter through events that will help them grow as individuals, performers, and leaders. Some of these types of events will need nothing more than posting an educational opportunity to the chapter newsletter, the Facebook page, or other informational medium, or just mentioning them at your weekly rehearsal business meeting. But others will be events that the chapter is actively involved in, such as regional convention or international, and coaching sessions, and those will take more managing. Fundraising events. So here again, I want to encourage you to find out what you are responsible for in your role for your chapter. It varies with every chorus. Some examples of things that you may be responsible for are things like singing Valentine's, ice cream social, maybe product sales. Again, I would say in Jet Cities, that product sales would not fall under the events chair. That would fall under the finance manager. So again, I encourage you to make sure you know which of these roles you fall into. So let's take a short break for a quiz. No, I'm just kidding. Let's take a minute, and you can either put in chat something that we have talked about that has struck a chord with you, or something you are worrying about or stressing over. You can put it in chat. You can raise your hand. We actually can take 5 minutes. This is a time where we can have some interaction and some back and forth. I'd happy to hear your comments and concerns.
Hey, Chris, there was a comment in the chat room from Caroline. Sorry, my cat, who never wants to cuddle, does. She says, suggests that we call our outings performances instead of sing-outs, because it describes better what we do as Sweet Adelines.
Well, and that's true. We just had a was that what the picture was? No. We sang for the farmers market just last weekend, and we had a brand new member sing there for the first time, and she was a little freaked out about it. And I think calling it a sing out for her actually made her feel more comfortable with it. So it's I agree with you that they are performances. It sort of is what works best for you. Anyone else have a type of event or have a concern?
Chris?
Yes.
Vaughn Roberts here.
Hi,
We're
Vaughn.
having a little struggle right now within our group, and probably not a bad one, but it seems that our performances are being tried to be put together by several different areas. So marketing is one of them, because it's in their job description that they go out and try to find ways to market us, and that's we also have show chairs are appointed, and sometimes our director will directly ask someone to do something, and and he's a hard person to say no to. So we don't, and yes, there's some finance involved. It- and I think our policies and procedures or job descriptions actually say that directly say that our team leader is responsible.
Oh my.
Now, obviously, they intend for her to delegate it, but I think it's really important to your comments about defining
Mhm.
and pulling, and we're working on that from a lot of areas. But if you go back and start reviewing all of your documents,
Mhm.
you start finding these little pieces, and enthusiastic members just want to help. But if you
Right.
don't know
Right.
who you're going to ask,
Right.
to start with, I think that's really important, that we know who. I hear about a group that wants us to sing. Do
Who
I
do you
just
go
run with
tell?
that?
Yes, yes. So we actually, Jet Cities, a dozen years or so ago, had a handout of every single possible thing that a member could do to help support the course, from graphic design to managing the Facebook page to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, being the tenor lead section leader. And each member then would check the boxes of the things they want to do and handed it in.
Yeah.
And at one point, we then started to rearrange that whole list of jobs to fall under each of the different
Mhm.
management team meetings so that they would know who they report to. And at the same time, we rewrote the descriptions of each of the management team to specifically say what they were in charge of. Because it really sounds to me like you have a lot of overlap in your description of your leadership roles, and maybe clarifying your leadership
Yes.
roles is something that you need to
Clarity
address.
is, they were rewritten in a previous life and are a little complex in their
Mm-hmm,
language.
mm-hmm,
And Nancy Kurth has recently gone through and asked everyone, what do you do? And we all
mm-hmm,
said, well, I do this and this.
mm-hmm.
And that will be a helpful document. At least
Yep.
you'll know who might have done it before. So yeah, finding
Right.
these different ways. But I hate for us to lose momentum, but I
Mm-hmm.
also don't want to have too many people going to the same direction.
Right, and going off in different ways.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree
we had
with
a
you.
conflict where more than one of us was contacting people and places to have an event,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
And
Nope.
so we were crossing over.
Yeah, it seems like you need to clarify your hierarchy of who
Yeah,
is doing
a little
what
more.
and who reports to whom.
Yeah.
And then so that if you've got like your events manager and then someone's chairing a particular show and then they have their team, well, their team reports to the chair reports to the events manager, and the manager coordinates with the management team.
Right. Right. That's
But
exactly.
having everybody going off on a tangent is well, it's not helpful, but it's
Well, yeah, it's
also
less. Yeah. The creativity is lovely. But
Mhm. But
Counterproductive.
then you
yeah,
have too many people trying to do too many things, and if they
yeah,
could focus their attention on one specific thing, then I that's just me speaking as a planner.
that's okay. I love that. I'm just kind of, doing the same thing you were doing. Here's a little issue, and I
Hmm.
think it applies to several things we're doing.
Yep.
And it's a long process to try
Yep.
to rechange things. And part of it is going from a large chorus to a small chorus.
Oh yes, and we're all
Yes, I'm
struggling with
sure
that
everybody
right
is
now.
going through that.
Hmm.
It seemed like all of a sudden we were going, wait, who's doing that?
Yep.
So,
Yep. And
yeah,
then, I mean, and especially when you have a small course like Jet Cities is right now,
yeah,
being able to say, well, that falls under the events manager. And
yeah.
what does Chris what sort of help does Chris need in order to make that event happen? Or is it even an event that perhaps we have to postpone? You know, so,
Exactly.
and that's
Exactly.
actually part of a little bit later discussion. So if,
Okay.
okay, thank you, Vaughn, though. That was
Thank
a
you very
very
much.
important conversation to have.
Thanks.
So
There are
yeah,
a couple of comments.
okay.
So Deborah says, is it safe to assume the events coordinator has a staff of helpers, like a show chair, the contest chair, etc.?
I don't think safe is the right word.
Yeah.
Because it depends on it honestly, for right now, it depends on your active membership. Do I have a staff right now? No. But do I reach out to people to get them to help? Yes, of course. And they, you know, we all want to keep Jet City alive and thriving. And so we're all multitasking to make that happen right now. But as we get back to normal, or what the new normal will be, then yes, the hope is that the events manager has a team that they can work with over the year or the couple of years that they are events manager, and they are a reliable go-to person.
Excuse me. Shelley says, we have a separate performance coordinator who is responsible for everything related to just the performance.
Yep.
And events handles all the other things.
Right.
And Carol
And we did
Ann,
it one time also, but right now we just don't have the membership, the numbers to do that.
right. Carol Ann up in Fairbanks says, singing Valentines have been done by our quartets and the chorus. However, now they do singing Christmas cards over the telephone. And
That's
you
a
know
great idea.
Yes. It's live and they share a message from the sender. They fill 3 hours or more. She said, we even
Nice.
found military personnel in Iraq. So very cool.
Wow.
And you don't even have to get dressed up or put makeup on. So there you go. And that's all comments I see.
Okay. So let's move on. We have one more place where we can have more comments. So so the final of the 4 categories are social and special events. And I've just listed some examples: installation, holiday parties, summer picnics, chapter planning events, send off for chorus quartets, breakfast at contests and celebrations. So installation is probably the most formal of all of these, for a reason. Obviously, you're installing your new member or your new management team or board of directors. And the international website actually has various scripts that you can follow that can make the event solemn or joyous or specific to your chapter. I know I've pulled those before just so that I know what format to follow. So there are resources out there that can help you with planning for an installation. As far as holiday parties go, remember your chapter is a mixture of faith. It's been a long time since we've called our holiday party a Christmas party. But so recognizing that all of your members have different reasons for celebrating, but more importantly, these sorts of events are very important right now, especially with the things that we're going to, that we take time to celebrate each other and our successes, our future goals. Planning, the third bullet here, chapter planning events, that's something that we should all be thinking about doing. It's on my bucket list probably for after the new year, is to get the chorus together and say, hey, okay, we've survived this last 2 years. How do we plan for the revitalization of our chorus? I mean, we have an absolutely amazing director in Rachel. And she has been the glue that has held us together for the last year and a half. But as a course, as a group, we need to come together and start doing the planning for how do we move forward? How do we get to where do we want to be a year from now or 5 years from now? So my final comments, I've said this several times now, delegate, delegate, delegate if you can. If you can't, what happens if you can't find enough help? Do you do it all yourself? Do you take it back to the leadership? Does it not happen? I'm hoping you all chose section or item letter B, take it back to the leadership and have that important discussion. Don't try to do it all yourself. It just becomes extremely stressful. And, you know, this is a volunteer organization and we all are looking for the joy in it. And when it becomes stressful, you lose that joy. So understanding your own capabilities and knowing and giving yourself permission to adapt, modify, or even postpone as needed, but having that conversation with the leadership of the course so they know what you're dealing with and how to bring it up to the course membership at large so that everybody is on the same page. And that is the bulk of what I have to share, except I want to just look closely or look a second at the handouts. But before we get to the handouts and resources, are there any other questions or comments that anyone want to share? I have oodles of time.
Yeah, there's a comment here. This is from Liz. How is everyone planning events and performances with COVID, especially now that they have to be indoors because of the weather?
Excellent question. And this is something that I would love to open up to the group as a whole. I know that we were still fairly small. So right now we've just restarted meeting at the church where we meet. We can very easily stand 6 feet apart with masks without a problem. We are planning a holiday party, and also very important to note, we still use Zoom. So those who are vaccinated and or feel comfortable coming in person are free to do that. We have Zoom for those who are leery of meeting in person, and cameras set up at different angles so that they can see and participate in our sessions. Rachel's very clear about telling people to respect each other's distance. And if they don't want to hug, make sure you ask before you reach out and hug someone. And that's how we are managing right now. But then we only have maybe a dozen who come to in-person rehearsals. So we can keep ourselves pretty distinctly separate as needed. So how is everybody else managing?
Chris?
Yes.
Vaughn Roberts again.
Hi, Vaughn.
We are and have been planning events, singing events, public events, as though they're going to happen. In retrospect, I don't think we'd do it any differently, but we haven't had one of those yet. We planned several outdoor concerts that we invited people to, that we expended funds on. And the one we got closest to, the day of our event, it was 105 degrees.
Oh,
so curses and rats. We're currently working on a Christmas friends and family sort of thing and trying to find an appropriate venue where we can do the separation and the masking. So in our case, we're trying to, up to a point, act as if it's normal when you cancel 2 annual shows and regionals, and act like it's normal, and look to the future. and try to find new things, new ways to support the chorus and find places for them to sing publicly.
Right.
Bless our little hearts, we want to sing to somebody.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Any other comments?
I have some from the chat room. Let's see here. Stephanie says, as far as I think the distancing thing, we have huggable, not huggable stickers for in-person events.
Oh, that's great.
So they know everyone's comfort level. And they also record meetings and rehearsals.
Mhm.
Eileen says that this is a good one. Her quartet sang for a retirement center a couple of years ago. They were, a couple of weeks ago. Hasn't been going on that long. We wore masks and then put shields over them. And I'm assuming, Eileen, you mean the kind that the clear plastic ones that come down. She said, and then they took their masks off to sing. Everyone singing and attending was vaccinated. It was weird to sing with the shields, but they had fun and received very positive comments. It's nice to be singing. And Laura says, we are meeting for rehearsals in person, singing with masks on, and also running Zoom during rehearsals, with mixed success. But we keep trying. Yeah, I had to do that too. It's hard. People move around.
Mm-hmm.
And Shelley says, I think it's important to keep up on the situation within your community and for whom you are performing. We being Helena, we also do live streaming of the in-person rehearsals and break up for shorter periods of time. HX, yep, Helena. So that's all we have on the chat right now. So.
Okay. So I will just go over these handouts and explain about them. There are 4 of them that match up to the 4 event types that I've described. Each one starts with a description of what that event oversees, the performance coordinator. This is just an example of the performance one. They all have a list of skills and attributes needed, duties and responsibilities, then followed by examples of the types of event that would fall under it and common questions and answers. This was all work that Chris Connerty, Linda Clifton, and I put together back in the spring when we were trying to get ready to do this, and realized, okay, you can't share all this information in an hour. So we felt that it would be easier to have all of this information in a handout that could be given out along with the session. So there's one on performances, there's one on education events, one on fundraising type events, and one on the social events, just as we went through in the session here. So for resources, just so you all know, this was originally going to have a deeper dive at the session we were going to do in November, the November set, which isn't, I was trying to think, is that fall education? Is that vet? Anyhow, but now will happen next summer instead. So it will take this larger class and do a deeper dive into it and pick it apart and put it back together. And as a region, then we hope to create an even better group of documents that will then be supportive of the different chapters. So I've added a link on here to the international website where they have all of their resources, forms, and document center. It's pretty easy to find when you go on there. I think you have to be a member to access these, but I don't really remember. But if you just follow the drop downs, it's pretty easy to find. And then this website link on Region 13, this is where those 4 documents I just showed you are saved. So they are accessible there, although they were also sent out Thank you. I just got lunch. They were sent out in an email to everyone. But if you didn't get it, we will just send them out again. Otherwise, I don't have anything else to share.
I have two questions that I must not have done the chat properly. I apologize. I had two questions. Number one, I would like to hear from others what has been their most successful fundraising. And number two, what other choruses are charging for events and things like singing Valentine's?
And anyone can chime in here. You just have to unmute yourselves or raise a hand or put it in the chat.
So for Acapella Joy, our most successful fundraiser every year is a garage sale. And it is a lot of work and it takes a lot of coordination and people being willing to, you know, run everything together, but it raises us thousands of dollars every year.
Wow.
And you get rid of junk.
Our most successful has been the ice fog frenzy that we have in the spring every other year. We raise upwards of $10,000. However, we also do Christmas singing cards. We also have raffles within our chorus. In Alaska, you have to be licensed by the state to sell tickets outside of the chorus, but we can do that within the chorus. We've even done that. And we charge, I think it's about $12 or $13 now for a show. And the latest show that we had was just a couple weeks ago. It was done for the community. It was not, we didn't charge anything. It was simply a thank you. It was done in Pioneer Park, which had restrictions as far as you need to have a separation between people that were sitting out there. We could only have a certain number of people. So I was not part of that performance because I have some immune problems, but there were probably 20 plus people that were on stage. They did a fantastic job. But it was a thank you to our community, which continues to support us. Even the program that we provided for that show, we collected about $1,500 in ads for that program.
How much do you charge for your singing Christmas cards?
$25. I know that because I've done that for years. But it's $20 for a regular song and then a message, and it's $25 like if we have a quartet or if we have a special song from the chorus. Some of the songs from the chorus are longer than others, so then it's usually $25, and some of the chapter members even will give $30 because we'll call and do maybe 2 songs because there's a happy birthday involved or something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that one song?
It's one song. It is $20. It's one song. But $25 is a song, a couple songs. I schedule them 5 to 10 minutes, and we get, like I said, we fill up 3 to 4 hours.
And how do you market those?
We market them at our Christmas program mostly because that's when Christmas cards are being sent out. And we also put it in the paper. It is in the weekly announcements that we have in our local paper. We use the local news channels. We have all kinds of free advertising available, and even radio programs have interviewed our director, and we do it through them too.
Carol Ann, are your Christmas cards live, or do you record?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, no, it's live. We're in a room that we have one of these speaker phones, special speaker phones that we surround the table and sing around the table. And usually I do the dialing, and then we sing and read the message and say Merry Christmas.
But it's a phone call rather than an in-person thing.
It's a phone call.
Yeah.
There's so many members that have family in lower 48, Canada, even local people that can't come to our performances. So we call and give them a Christmas card.
Which is actually a lot easier to manage than the singing Valentines when you're going from place to place,
Oh,
and it
yes.
takes you a half an hour to get here, and then it has to be a certain moment when they're not serving tables or whatever. So that's actually I like that, the
Lot
phone call
easier.
idea.
My
Mhm.
quartet did singing Valentine's one year, and we tried to sing to Bob, quote unquote, at a filling station, and Bob wouldn't come out. So
I've heard people do
we
this.
sang to another Bob.
Yeah. People do this for Valentine's Day and Mother's Day and Father's Day. I mean,
Mhm.
there's all kinds of places you could do this.
Yeah, yep. Great idea.
Mhm.
Any other comments? So I can't remember, was it Vaughn who asked the question of about the shows? I know the Sweetie Pie Social that Jet Cities does every year. Typically, we have one fee. Of course, you get a slice of pie and some coffee with the purchase of your ticket. So understand that.
Mhm.
But we have one price for adults, basically. Which I think, Sue, was up to $18 last time we did it, and then a lesser fee for children or senior citizens or veterans or whatever. That's a few dollars less, whether it's 13 or 14, I don't recall now.
What do you
But
charge for your pie social? And do you make or buy the pies or a combination of both?
it's we encourage hand baked pies, so we all bring 2 pies. Or we
Contest.
pay one of our members' daughters who makes beautiful pies, and she makes a dozen. So basically, that's our contribution to the event, is that
And
we have,
what do you charge?
oh, sorry. I think the last time we were up to $18 for an adult, and I think it was 13 for a child or a senior. And we don't require anybody to show proof of being a child or a
Mhm.
senior. We just
Sure.
expect people to,
That,
you
that
know,
includes a piece of pie. We sell
it,
extra slices because,
yes,
there's a lot
yes.
to taste from.
And does the
So
chorus serve the pie, or do you get husbands or what?
we usually have members who aren't participating in the because we have a pretty active associate member group, or friends and family who just love us, as we all have, and they usually man the tables and have all the pies set out in slices with the little sign tags that says this is blackberry, this is Bob's
And I assume
specialty.
coffee is served.
Yes, coffee and teas are on another stand, and bottles of water. So basically, you go with your little coupon that says you get a slice of pie, and you get your first slice and your first cup of coffee. That's all included in your ticket. And then if you want to buy another slice of pie, I think those were $2 or $3 just for a single slice. And then we had whole pies, because the gal who makes the beautiful pies, they display really nicely, and you can buy a pie to take home with you for, I don't know, $8 or $10, and those usually
Uh,
sell as well.
Oh, yeah.
I
So we
have a
do
piece
quite
of
well.
advice for everybody. We did I think it was Christmas. No, I think it was an ice cream social. Anyway, I can't remember which it was. I think it was Christmas. And we had an intermission and people left. They didn't realize it was an intermission. So be
Oh,
careful on that. That's my piece of advice for all
yeah.
of you. We thought it
Oh,
was super, super clear that it was an intermission, and we came
yeah.
out, we're like, where'd everybody go?
Well, the facility we hold it in is Todd Beamer High School in Federal Way, and it's in their main
Community room, I think.
community room with glass doors along one side, which is where the pies are set out, and so it's very open, and you can see people. And we always tell them, now's the time, it's intermission, go out and get your pie and get a pie to take home with you, and then come back. And yeah, so it's I
So
don't
you
think it's
set
ever
up
been
tables,
unclear.
I assume, for people to come back and sit and eat their
Oh,
pie at a
yes,
table.
yes, yes,
And
yes,
does the high school charge you?
yes. And it's just the
It's
time
nice.
for being there. I can't recall what it is, but it's it's
Mainly
not a
janitorial
huge deal.
coverage,
Yeah, it's where we rehearsed for years.
Okay. And
but,
I have a fundraising suggestion for everybody that we have done. Our county, well, it's not our county fair. Well, it is our county fair. Our county fair, we are able to direct car parking. We don't park the cars, but we're out there saying there's a space there and a space there, and come over here and go behind that pickup and whatever. And people donate to us. They say, what is the charge? And we say, whatever you want to give. So you might get $1, you might get 20, whatever. So there's an idea for everybody. If you have some sort of event in your area, like a fair or some kind of event where parking direction is needed.
Yep. You know, I think every chorus has done unique fundraisers. It would be kind of interesting to have a list of
Yeah, I
every
would like to see
fundraiser
that.
all the choruses have done. For years, we worked the scone wagon down at the Puyallup Fair, which was a lot of fun. At least I thought it was fun. Other people found it
cool.
very stressful. So yeah, there are lots of
We
different.
did the free coffee on the interstate. You've
Oh, yes.
probably seen those at the rest stops.
We did that
And
one.
we, another little tip for everybody, should you decide to do that, you have to put in your reservation. There's a certain
year in
window of time
advance.
with the state.
Yep.
And we found that we do way, way, way better one direction than the other, north or south. And we also found that a weekend is best, Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday. And also the big one was we found we did way better when we had some home baked goods to go with it.
Definitely.
So they got a cup
Definitely.
of coffee and a cookie or a brownie or something.
Yeah. Also the rest stop. I mean, I think your distinction between whether you're going north or south or whatever really has more to do with the rest stop itself, and whether it's a nice, well-lit, well-maintained rest stop, or whether it's, you know, not one of the better ones.
Well,
or
our issue
whether-
is we're close to Canada. And
Mhm.
so if people were, of course, this is pre-COVID. So if people were on their way to Canada, they tended to want to stop on the way home. They did not. They wanted to
Right.
just get home.
Right. Yeah. Stop before you wait in line at the border.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. This has been a really great conversation. A lot of good topics covered. We're basically done, unless anybody else has something they want to add to the conversation. It's been a joy to see all of your faces again. I miss not having been to contests the last couple of years. So thank you, Deborah. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye. Just Deborah, Sue, and I, and LaDonna. So LaDonna, do you know where the leave? There's a
Yeah.
little red button that
Yes,
says
probably.
leave.
She's probably with her puppies or something. Mm-mm.
Oh,
I just wanted to tell you thanks. It's a
Yeah.
great class.
Yes, I was with my dogs in the other room. I have my volume on really high though.
oh,
We all
Thank
done.
you so much.
you're welcome.
Bye, LaDonna.
Bye.
And
There
I
it is.
love the handouts too.
Oh,
They're
good.
great.
Good.
They were
Good idea.
great handouts.
Yes. Of course, I was going through them again. Oh, that doesn't go there. That goes in this other one.
Well, there's that typo I knew was there. That's what I
Yeah.
was.
Well, I just wanted to let you know how wonderful the class was.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh,
Please-
Sue, you could stop recording.
Oh.
Although it's nice to have that on the recording. You might want to cut off the last little bit. Yes. Yeah, it went well.
Good.
Are you still recording?
Nope.
No,
it's not.
oh, it says it's recording on my end.
Oh, it said.
I think it's a two
I did.
clicks you have to
clicked-
do.
I clicked. Are you sure you want to? Oh, I clicked